What's going on everybody, Blades for here, and today I'm for you guys another video, Persona 5X. Inside today's video guys, we're mainly going to be going ahead and talking about how free to play is this game here. Is it a pay to win game? Is it a free to play game here? And what all is really offered per its patch. So if you guys are interested in this, be sure to sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. And as always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out a lot. But one of the things I wanted to go over as a disclaimer first, I can really only speak about KR, TW, and at least the CN side of things, because those are the only versions I have played. Each of those versions have been very much so generous, and I'll explain exactly what they usually give out and how much we usually get as a free to play and a minimum spender as well. The only reason why I'm at least saying this is mainly because we don't know exactly how global's going to go, if they're going to continue doing the exact same amount of generosity that we've been getting over here on TW, KR, and CN. So I had to at least express this so you guys know on global, hey, this is what you could possibly get, but do understand that with Sega more primarily being involved with the global situation, we don't know exactly how much is going to be given out over there as well compared to over here. But now I've went over that, and enough of that little yip yapping for a quick second. Let's go ahead and just go over exactly everything here. So as a little bit of a overstatement, or at least a TLDR, this game is insanely free to play for the TW, KR, and CN sections. But exactly how are they free to play? What do they do? What do they give out? Well, one of the things I can say for this game is in the option of just straight up gems, you can earn them pretty much anywhere, and you get a lot of these guys. What I mean to say as a lot is you usually can find a ton of these guys in different chests inside of palaces, which of course the palace chest does not refresh, keep that in mind, but you still get a ton per at least palace here. You get a ton inside of the metaverse, in which also has a lot in mementos, and then there are several events and more like in-game modes that give you a ton every patch update. So this is something that has always been a thing inside of this game, and as the game has been going, the devs have consistently been increasing those rewards. Every so often we do get like a dev note, I say every so often when it's actually really often, where we get a dev note all the time. And with these dev notes, and a couple of them, they have actually proceedingly increased the rewards that we get on the daily, whether it's rewards from different ones such as like events, or either if it's rewards from like in-game modes such as SOS being a ranking game mode here, and other ones like Velvet Trials, where they actually added some extra Velvet Trials so you can get extra rewards out of here as well. There's tons of ways to get gems, and one of the first ways that we're going to go over is the Velvet Trials here. As you guys can see, when I click this, immediately just by each one of these Velvet Trial sections, you can see a ton of gems. Now they can only be of course completed one time, and then they start getting spotty throughout here, but those are actually a ton of gems that you can get, and you're slowly going to be completing this because man, these things are a little difficult. There are different teams that are optional that you can use, like 4-star at least substitutes, though you do have to do a lot more strategic little planning out to really get those done, so you can get more of these and also more gems in just general here. So surely do keep that in mind. But one of the main things that I want to say about this is each one of these do have a ton of gems out of them, and you do get a ton of stuff for doing them. So this is just one of the few options that you very well can do. I would say as they continue updating this, consider seeing a lot more of these little drops, as well as consider seeing more of these gems being added just from the Velvet Trials area, which hopefully they do double back in as well. The other side, of course, is I was saying the ranked side. You do get a decent bit of gems out of here first. So pretty much just for completing this one whole time, you get this as well. These ones in general are mandatory, you get every week. All you have to do is just complete 27 stars, which this is just going to be these 3, which are always going to complete because those are the non-ranked. That will always help you out. And then afterwards comes this score amount. For the score amount here, you really don't have to try too hard to get this score amount. Of course, it takes both scores on each side, which is side A and side B, in which you can get those gems as well. Every time a patch happens, which used to be every 2 weeks, now it's every 3 weeks here, giving us more time to save, we actually get a ton of these gems here. So think about it, 175, and then you do all of this for the week, of course, or at least for that patch, and then the next patch you're able to get this minimum once again. Now This is the same up to, I want to say, yeah, up to 5. For free to plays, most free to plays are between the what's called levels of 6 and 7, which are at least a little bit of a fragments, or at least squads, I guess you can say. And this is from ranking up each one of these. As you can see, it's fairly easy to rank up. All you need to do is really just get these points, and where it becomes competitive is really 7 and 8. But most free to plays, even when they're doing the bare minimum, are in 6 and 7 pretty easily. If you're a free to play and you're doing the maximum, you're between 7 and 8. And that's where you're really always gonna get all of these gems. So really, for a free to play, if you wanted to get the most out of your buck, go ahead and make it to 5, and this will give you all the gem requirements that you get for that entire patch with at least the SOS update. But alongside of this, there's also more gems that you get from this. In fact, with each of at least the squads, they also have something like this in play. The further you get up inside the rankings, the more things you do get, but all the gems are equalized pretty much from 5 and up. The only thing that's going to be changing is these gold coins. Now, these gold coins I went over in my Persona video, in which really all you have to do is just try to score as high as possible to get these actual gems here, or at least get these coins here to allow you to exchange way more personas. Now, don't worry. This doesn't really give anyone a huge edge inside of anything. So I mean, like, if you're at least able to get the 300, which a lot of you should be able to do, seeing most free to plays are within the 6 and 7 brackets. Lowest I've ever seen a free to play in, especially if they're putting in some work, is the 5th bracket here. At this point in time, the lowest you're going to pretty much get is just 300 of these gold coins, and still you will get the max amount of gems. So the game is very rewarding and nice when it does come down to that one game mode. But we also have several other game modes, such as Heart Rail. Heart Rail is another one that, although is a little bit of a sleeper fest, it does give you a lot of gems and gives you a decent bit of rewards. Out of this here, when it comes down to rewards, you can get a ton of at least these little mats here, which are absolutely amazing, and I would say are really good when it comes down to the free-to-play players. Those mats are really necessary, and if this is out on at least the global version immediately, you want to go ahead and complete this as fast as possible. It may be a snoozer fest, but it's definitely something that's worth completing. Alongside this, of course, you do have the challenges, which you will have to do with different teams and such like that in order to get these little extra gems here, but it's absolutely worth it. The only thing I would say that is very much so time consuming is this side here. Even there's a couple I'm missing, at least I want to say like 4, and I just don't even want to go through it, because each one of these give a 30 amount, which is a decent bit. At the end of the day, it is technically like a good multi-and-a-half that you do get from this, but man, is it time consuming. So I mean, like, you get some gems for that. Only unfortunately though, this is finite instead of like a weekly thing, which, man, I kind of hope they do something with this game mode, because once you complete it, you technically never touch it again. It's nice for the mats, it's nice for like the free-to-play players, but once it's done, it's done. You don't really get to do that again. But something that is reoccurring that gives you a lot of gems as well is going to be Guild Boss. Guild Boss you can be very competitive in if you want to, but as I did say on stream here, ranking rewards don't really matter. So it doesn't matter where your rank actually does place here, especially as a guild. What really matters is just your individual points, because for getting said individual points, you can get a maximum of these mini gems here. So you're already knocking this out. This is really good to actually have here, because it's like 480 times 2. So at that point in time, you're actually getting yourself around at least nearly 1,000 something just from this, just from completing all of these. Not to mention, if you continue to get higher, you do get some weapon currency that you can exchange for Wonders weapons. So this is something that also resets per patch. This is another thing that you can get, and it's going to be a common reoccurring theme when it comes down to at least some of your gems. We're not even going to speak on at least the dailies here as well, because when it comes down to the dailies here, you're getting, I think, about 60, or is it, let's see, 200, I want to say, is it 120? I think it is something like that. At least 120 or 100 that you actually get from this. So every last one of your little daily tasks are about 20 of these gems. So if you only need to complete about 5 or 4 of these guys, 20, 40, 60, 80, and then 100 being at least a 5th one, or either you just get 80 a day, which really isn't too bad. At the end of the day, it's pretty darn decent. And once, of course, you pair this with the BP, whether it's the free-to-play one or the bot one, I would advise you guys to buy the bot one, because it's actually really helpful for at least the what's it called, common player here. That's going to be very helpful as well. So when it comes down to more free-to-play aspects, or at least things that are fairly generous with this game, I do have to say they give out a ton of codes for at least redeeming things, and even with the at least the confidants, you're able to get a ton of gems and materials from here as well. Currently, from leveling up every last one, at least to 15 here, I want to say every confidant should give you around 1,000 gems on TWKR and CN. They should give you at least 1,000 gems, which is nearly enough for an entire multi. Now, doing that, of course, you will need a little bit of course, cash that you work for from at least the in-game little shops here that you're going to be doing with Wonder, but that's still 1,000 per confidant, so it's actually really nice. And they add a confidant every time they usually add a character, so surely do let that sink in for a little bit. You get a decent bit of gems from that. Now, some other things such as different events and things of this nature, we get a lot of events in this game, and you can get a ton of gems from those as well. Just from at least this update here, just counting only from these missions that they make you do is about 1,200. Now, these missions are pertaining to the palaces, so when they do at least release here, you can do these missions, you'll get a minimum of 1,200 here, and then that's not even counting all the chests and things that are in each palace. But people are like, but Blade, the palaces are small, right? They don't got much to collect in them. That is where a lot of you are wrong here. Palaces actually give you a ton of gems, and I mean, when I say a ton, I mean a ton. So let's go ahead and give this a little bit of look-see here. Checking out at least the first palace, you have all of these things inside this palace that all give gems, except for of course the save houses. Whether it's beating a boss, collecting any of these chests here, will all give you some sort of gem. Plus, of course, if you go ahead and 100% each of these areas, which you will want to do, seeing that you get weapons out of it, you do get gems and other materials from this as well, which are very helpful for free-to-play players. As you slowly go on, the palaces do get bigger and bigger. So don't just think, oh, that's still not enough here. Because if we go ahead and take a little bit of a look-see, and I actually want to go ahead and show this the proper way. So let's see if we can do a little bit of a backup here. And we take a look to this palace here. It starts off kind of small, then you have the palace being way bigger, multiple floors of these said palaces, and each one of these floors will have some sort of at least gems or something you can go ahead and get. So with all of this in mind, every last one of these floors, every last one of these palaces will have a ton of things, and they just get bigger. As I did say, this game is prolonged, or at least it's trying to prolong itself for a hot minute to not only just evolve the story and make it even better, but also give you guys a ton of materials and things of that nature to really make it a good free-to-play experience. Now, I'm gonna at least say this disclaimer once again. This is primarily on CN, KR, and TW that I can speak of. Whether at least any gems or anything like that gets changed on global is totally up to the company, and I can't really speak on their practices at that moment in time. But just from doing at least all of these the stinking palaces and everything that I've currently went over, you get a lump sum of gems, because all of the palaces have a ton of gems, have a ton of bosses, have a ton of chests that you're going to get, and then even the milestones will have a ton of things that you can get as a free to play. Now, I did mention Mementos a little bit earlier as well, right? But I didn't really show you guys how big Mementos really is. Mementos is kind of in the same function, where it started off small. You get a lot of stuff inside of these small little Mementos caverns, and they slowly get bigger. Now, this is just area 1, but it does slowly get even bigger as the game does progress, which has more mats for you guys, more gems, and even more things that you can do. By turning in as well these things into one of the vendors in here, there are these little vending machines that will give you even more gems that you can actually get by collecting these said tickets. Every last one of these Mementos parts has this included, so surely do keep that in mind, and you will have a ton of gems to work with, especially with that in mind as well. Now, I haven't really went over everything just yet. There's still a ton of other things that you can do in order to gain yourself some pools or some gems. So let's go ahead and talk about that as well. Now, with each patch update, as I did say, there's some events that are going to be very regular showing here, whether either it's Crossfate or whether it's some other ones such as the P3 collab. But Crossfate was one of those other little places that you guys really want to pay attention to. It's going to look something like this, where you're going to have this screen, and even just starting the game, you get a lot of pulls and gems from this as well. But later on, you're going to unlock something called Crossfate, which you should get like the first like part of it, which is the P5 collab itself. Going through this, you do get gems out of here quite often, and every last one of these little stages will give you a certain amount of gems, and there's even some chests in there that you can also get gems from as well. And then by completing said different little missions that are from Crossfade, you do get gems from this and some goodies as well, so surely keep that in mind. Now Crossfade is not just only bound to just Joker himself. In fact, we have ones with at least Makoto and Yusuke visiting both of their parts, being the museum and the bank. We have one for Futaba going back to our pyramid, and then we have one even for Haru going back to at least one of the most devious ones that we hated inside of P5 itself. So this is already giving you a ton of gems, and they all have a decent bit of milestones that you can do that also give mats and gems as well. Usually when they release as well, they also had a little bit of a exchange shop, an event as well, that when you complete it, or at least you did the little fight that's with it, you get a ton of mats and gems out of that too. So like, I mean, I don't really know what you want to hear on that side. And the same can go for P Royal too, or P5 Royal itself. With this, you do have Kazumi and you do have Kakechi, and both of them will have their set, at least story modes, and their set battle events. With this in mind, you get a ton of mats out of them, and you also get a ton of gems out of those as well. This is all available for anyone who's pay to winning and also anyone who's free to play, so you don't really have to worry about that. So that's a lot of stuff that's already just free to play based, in which there's a ton more things such as Tycoon, which is the little card game that you're able to play. Some missions inside of the city do give at least gems as well. And then My Palace and even the task also give you gems every day as well. So I mean, like, there are a ton of things, and I didn't even get into the side quests that you're gonna do, which are usually up here, that give gems too alongside of the main story. So I mean, for you guys to decide yourself, you will have to of course touch the game yourself and play it on global. But for the TWKR and CN side, I definitely can say it is fairly generous. In fact, even when we have different updates with our palaces, they sometimes give us a ton of pulls. Well, not even sometimes, all time gives us a ton of pulls, gives us gems, codes, and will sometimes sprinkle in a selector for 5-star characters. Just including the anniversary alone, we ended up getting a ton of pulls with that, and 2 free 5-star characters, technically 3 free 5-star characters that we were able to get quite easily. So I would say they're very nice, especially to their communities and at least the players that are currently playing with all the 5-star elite selectors that we've gotten from these updates and things of that nature, including weapon select. So there's a lot. There is a ton. I can go on and on about how generous this game is, but of course this video has to come to an end. But before we end it off, for my pay to win players or even light spenders, here's some good news for you guys. Remember I said that the battle pass is really worth it as well, helping you out with all those mats? Well, it truly is. Most people who are buying the battle pass, it's either only 10 bucks, but I would say go for the extra incentive and pay for the $20 one here. Reason is because you of course jump up a couple more steps, and alongside of this you get yourself some extra goodies and an extra outfit as well with this in mind. Just for buying the battle pass, as you can see, you get a ton of mats, being at least upgrade materials, different soul gems, which are the currency, you get pools, you get also stamina, and this is pretty nice to always have. And at the end of the day, if you do buy 2 of these battle passes, you get these lucky coins. Every battle pass has 5 lucky coins. Well, once you have 2, you can then go to at least the Awai, who's at least the weapon shop across the district here, and go get a 5-star weapon of your choice. Granted, these 5-star weapons are standard weapons, but the standard characters that are always added quite often are really good characters. There are never any bad characters there. They actually are top tier units, and some of them are probably better than some limiteds as well. So surely do keep that in mind. There's always ways to do that, and for a whopping 20 bucks, I say that's not that bad. Even with the small amount of things that you're going to pay for, which are going to be like the monthlies or even the weeklies here, you do get a lot of bang for your buck. I think this one was like $5. The other one was like $3 maybe, or something like that. And then of course the actual one here is like $5 or $10 as well. You get a lot. You get a ton of materials and a ton of gems out of that just for buying the bare minimum, which I would say per month you're probably spending like $35, maybe 40. And that's really not too much, especially if you are just wanting to dip your feet into the water and not do too much for this game. But that's all I had to say when it did come down to, is the game free to play or pay to win? I would heavily say it is very free to play currently, though once again, I can't speak on global. But till then, everybody, if you have any further questions, be sure to ask me down below in the comment section. Let me know also, is there any other videos you want to see, either guides or just videos in general? I'll be glad to go ahead and go over those as well. And until then, everybody, peace out.